So here we are again, February 2023 Nintendo Direct. Everybody was pretty much waiting for this, and we got a lot out of it. Many people are going to have varying degrees of interest. We saw Tears of the Kingdom, Metroid Prime Remastered, Game Boy on Switch Online. So these are a couple of the heavy hitters here, but let's focus primarily on what does this actually mean, right, in terms of Nintendo Switch Online in 2023. We're going on 6, almost 7 years now after the release of the Switch, and we've had a relatively weak online platform to this point. And furthermore, the online capabilities haven't really been augmented much. So we do have our variety of ports and emulation type software here with the N64, the Sega, SNES, NES, now Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, right? Things like this. So what does this actually mean? Are we getting a better value here in 2023 for our subscription? Now, in short, I would say yes. It's getting better. Is it where it should be? No. If you compare it against, fan-created things, crowdsourced development items, emulation on a PC, this is, nowhere near where that is. So to focus a bit more here, let's just say, okay, now we have a variety of ways to play Game Boy games. Now, are you going to be that excited about it? Is this going to actually generate revenue? I would say, this is going out on a limb a bit, but what I'm going to say might be controversial. I think whoever has a Nintendo Switch Online platform by now is well inside the bell curve on who ultimately is going to have a subscription. What do I mean by that? I mean, whoever has a subscription by now is probably all the audience that you're going to get. They're probably going to pick up a few stragglers, maybe some folks like myself or others who kind of, bought in at the beginning and were debating dropping the service, and maybe they're hanging on now or just waiting till that last title that they were waiting for has become available. And maybe that title just happens to be on Game Boy Advance. I find that very hard to believe. So if that is true, if they're not really going to pick up many more subscribers, what does that mean? There's rumors now that Metroid Prime Remastered was complete maybe 18 months or longer ago. So you have this huge title and Nintendo kind of sitting on it for almost 2 years. That's speculation, of course, but what does that mean? So to the point here, what exactly does this mean? Are we going to be getting GameCube games, right? Metroid Prime Remaster. Well, obviously, here we go again. Here's a Game Boy title, and I've covered a lot of this kind of skeptical information on prior videos. Check them out if you want. Just because there's a GameCube title, wink, wink, hint, hint, Super Mario Sunshine, doesn't mean that we're going to be just getting a huge new service here on the online platform. What does that mean? What does it mean that it took this long to get Metroid Prime Remaster, knowing that Metroid Prime 4 is ultimately on its way? Of course, this drop of the remaster probably means that we won't be seeing 4 for quite a while. But it also means something else. If one GameCube title is locked away for that long, with an untold amount of development costs and effort tied to it, one cannot reasonably assume that Nintendo will just drop a GameCube service onto the online platform, and all of a sudden we're going to have this huge array similar to the drip feed of other titles, N64, Sega Genesis, things of that nature. We won't be seeing that. It's not possible. Given that, it is not possible. So if you really do truly want access to these titles, and I've harped on this many times in the past, your option is one of many, but ultimately it's going to lay on you to find the best way that works for you, whether it be a modified GameCube, a PC emulation, something like that. Of course, own the titles. We don't recommend doing anything unscrupulous here on Retro Renovo. Do your backups, do everything you need to do, but the onus is on you to have the games available to you that you wish to play, whenever you want to play them, how you want to play them. A year from now, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, it's on you to figure that out, because these games will not last. They will fade away, just like we've seen with the Wii Shop and everything even tangentially like that. these servers do have a quote-unquote sunset date, right? They're going to shut them off. We like to call it sunset and make it sound nice. They're going to turn them off. They're going to shut them off, pull the plug, wipe the drives, and they're gone, right? They're going to be gone. And there's not going to be any, tears or anything like that when it happens by, the individuals who do that. It's just the way of business here. It's 2023, and we have to get real. So my final point is this Game Boy Advance and Game Boy and other developments, Metroid Prime Remaster, are these all things that are going to, or should they, bring you into the Nintendo Switch Online platform in February 2023? My answer here is a pretty stern no. For a couple reasons, some of which I've already alluded to. If you are expecting a drip feed of any sort of reliability or frequency, you're going to be missing out. If you expect titles that are maybe even somewhat very popular, Pokemon, don't hold your breath, which is amazing to me. I've had some conversations, and by and large, the comments on this Nintendo Direct are, how can you not have Pokemon? The only reason to have a Game Boy was to play Pokemon. Okay, there's some people out there who played Tetris, whatever. By and large, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. Game Boys were sold to provide an avenue by which to play Pokemon. I don't think they're coming anytime soon. So, with that being said, go out there. You can even refer to prior videos of mine. The PS2 versus GameCube video would be one to check out. I don't want to go down through all that detail again. Suffice it to say, there are a lot of very creative and relatively inexpensive ways to get all of the Game Boy titles, all of the GameCube titles that you want, and have them backed up. Back up your copies, right? We back them up, things that we own, and make them available to us into the future in perpetuity. Don't have servers, don't have any sort of corporatism governing your ability to enjoy things that you have paid for in the past well into the future and share with future generations. It's very, very possible that we will see 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years down the line, these great new things that we have now will be moved to another server, Nintendo Switch Online. Are we always going to have a Nintendo Switch? What's happening? We don't know. But the past indicates that one day, within a couple of years from now, these things will kind of fall off into obscurity as a new generation who is coming of age. They all start working, they get jobs, they have their own version of what nostalgia means. They have their own money to spend on their own nostalgia. And our current nostalgia, right? Our current nostalgia that this NSO is kind of geared towards is going to fall into obscurity and be replaced by what a newer generation refers to as nostalgic. And those will be turned off and gone. For all intents and purposes, gone and unavailable for us to play. So again, the onus is on you. If you're enthusiastic and you're a retro enthusiast, or even if it's not retro, whatever, the onus is on you. It always has been. It always will be. I would not jump on this NSO platform now just because they managed to get Game Boy on there. I think it's very disingenuous to look at this in any sort of amazement and shock and praise. It should be bare minimum an expectation. And the fact that it's taken this long should not be looked at as some sort of holy grail moment. It really should not be. And it's my estimation that this is kind of one of the signals that other things I've hinted at in my other videos are starting to slowly, one by one, come true. I'm not going to get into that here. I'll save that for a future video. But this is a huge signal for me that we might need to start preparing for what's coming in the next couple of years, because it might not be what we expect. Anyway, that's Retro Renovo for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you want to. If not, that's cool too. Until next time, have a good one.